early stage of my Toastmasters, it feels like when I go to a contest and I hear somebody giving a speech at the contest, it seems that the person that get the most reaction win the contest. Now, Toastmasters change the rule and say that, well, when you're giving a speech, you cannot refer to what somebody has said, and that
Hmm.
actually made people to get less reaction when they give speech because they can't use the other person's speech as a setup anymore. And I know that in your own case, you've talked about call and response and different techniques. I watch your District 47 keynote when you use the word pish. And it seems that when you use the word every time, you got a response from the audience.
Hmm.
So, in your own case, what would you say? Which advice would you give for getting a reaction consistently from the audience? And how did you come about the word psh? And which word would you suggest for me to use? Because I want to be able to do that.
So the first answer to how did I come up with the word psh, it was just a reaction that I've always done as a kid. It was just an expression that I was familiar with where it just meant that what you're saying is nonsensical, that this is absolutely ludicrous. And I just decided to use it in one of my speeches and just ran with it. But when it comes to how to get a genuine audience reaction consistently, I would say number one, you have to make sure that you know your personal story. A personal story about a challenge that you have overcome is probably going to get the most consistent audience reaction because that's what the audience is looking for. If there's an audience member out there that's struggling with a problem and you come to them with a possible solution and you back it up with your own personal story so that they know you're not just saying this, you've lived it, that's going to get a genuine connection with your audience and a genuine reaction. Now, when it comes to humor, humor is a little tougher because for me, it's a lot of trial and error. Whenever I'm in a conversation, for instance, I'll try to drop some lines to see if one person laughs. If that one person laughs, I'm keeping that in the back of my mind because I want to try to test that out on a larger audience. So it may be in a group conversation where I'll try that line again and see how it impacts the audience that I'm speaking to. And if I get a laugh there, okay, I think I have something that's genuinely funny and it can probably make its way into my speech. That's one way that I do it, but sometimes I'll just come up with something and try to test it out in a practice speech and I'll see what the reaction is. I also have a lot of experience listening to other speakers, so I don't steal their content. I never will tell anybody to steal anybody's content ever, but some of their joke structure or some of their delivery of how they tell their jokes, I'll keep that in my mind. So if there's a certain tone that they use, if there's a certain inflection, I'll see if I can mimic that and see if I can get the same response. And a lot of times now that I've built up that experience, I tend to be more right than wrong.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. Talking about joke structure, studying your speeches on YouTube, I spend a lot of time doing that. I discovered that something that you like doing is to take your audience in this direction and quickly change it.
Hmm.
Like you're giving an answer to an expectation, but then what you usually say is different from what they expect you to say. And it
Yeah.
seems that you get a response every time you do that. And
Yep.
that's something that I really like about your style.
Yeah.
Then,
It's called the incongruency theory of humor. So
wow.
you lead somebody in one direction and then you swerve and give them something that they weren't expecting. And in that moment of the unexpected, that's what generates the laugh, or at least that's according to the theory.
Wow, wow. That's very safe because other types of humor, self-deprecating or picking on audience can be very risky. It could
Hmm.
easily go wrong. It could easily go wrong.